So that's the age-old question as to whether or not adolescence is about when puberty starts or lasts, the duration of it, or whether or not it's these social factors. So they were primarily talking about developed societies. And basically they said, so it has been decided basically by the WHO, the World Health Organization, that puberty can be considered, or adolescent can be considered to start at the age of 10. And that's because as we've become more developed and nutrition has improved, the age at which people, women especially, women are getting their periods is reducing. So that is the reason for the early start of 10. Now they're saying, typically it's been seen to last until the age of 19, but they're saying with the social changes that we're seeing in developed societies, you know, people marrying later, partnering later, staying at home longer time spent in education, that actually adolescence is lasting in these developed societies until up to the age of 25.
Right, I mean, that has really raised some eyebrows, both ends of the spectrum. Although, I mean, anecdotally, having a girl who's nearly 12 myself, everybody who has children of that age that I know is saying, gosh, it all starts so much earlier. We've got sort of teenage moods starting from the age of 10.
Yes, and you're in for a long road because it's not going to end until they're 25. So a few mothers that I've spoken to today, a few mothers that I've spoken to today said, oh, I didn't realise it was going to be such a long time. My mum, my brother is 7 years my junior. She's had more than 20 years of adolescence to deal with.
Oh, crikey. I might be about to embark on that soon. I mean, looking at the reaction to this, some scientists are saying this is really not appropriate to raise adolescents quite so high. Obviously the physical changes you can actually document, they're there to see, but to define somebody as not a fully formed adult when they're 24 years old is infantilizing them.
Exactly. So that criticism came from a sociologist at the University of Kent, and she said it's pathologizing younger people. So we're putting them in these boxes where they're not yet considered to be able to make proper adult decisions of their own. And the fact that if you continuing to travel, for example, or work later, she said that shouldn't be seen as, you know, a bad decision. But it has been supported, for example, by childhood bodies here in the UK who say there is reason, you know, our brains continue to develop until the age of our mid-20s. So there is biological reasons for putting it back. And also this abrupt end, you know, as we were talking about social care, things like that. If someone hits the age of 18 and then all of a sudden they're out of care and you're an adult and fend for yourself, they're saying that's not really fair. So it shouldn't be done to stigmatise young people, but it should be done to make the transition from childhood to adulthood, you know, more appropriate and
smoother and more gradual
giving.
And more gentle.
Yeah.
You went back to the factors behind the early start of puberty, how much earlier girls are starting their periods compared to their parents. I mean, you said about nutrition, anecdotally again, people talk about too much fast food, obesity, all being a negative factor. This is actually saying it's a positive thing, it's better nutrition that is bringing this forward.
That's right. So the researchers talked to me about the fact that in 1900 in Norway, girls typically got their period about the age of 17. Now it's 12 to 13, so it's moved back about 4 years, moved forward about 4 years earlier. And that's an incredibly quick change. In China, we've seen similar patterns, Southeast Asia at the moment. So as countries are developing and their nutrition's improved, girls are getting younger and younger, but there is a biological cusp. So they reach a point, and we think 12 to 13 is the biological limit. It's not going any lower, and that's basically where they say that's going to happen. So as developing countries are developing more, we're seeing them go in that decline.
Oh, that's interesting that you say that it's not really going to go any lower. It's not going to get to the point where each 10 years we're going to talk about it going down another couple of years.
No, so we saw a stagnation in the US in the 1950s. So that was happening in the US until that point, and then it stopped. So there is no reason to believe it would go any younger than that.